Penny Black and Jill Foster here for your next PB&J card class. Today we'll be using Petal Party and Brick Wall to create a card combined with distress ink and distress markers for a watercolor effect. And here's the card we'll be creating today. To begin, I'll be using several different stamps from Petal Party, and I'm using watercolor paper. I'm rubbing an anti-static bag across this paper, and then I'll be inking my stamps with Versamark ink. I'll stamp this onto the watercolor paper and then sprinkle with clear embossing powder, or you could use white. Now I want to stamp several other images onto the same piece, so before I heat this, I'm just carefully stamping the other images, each time using Versamark ink and then sprinkling with the embossing powder. And you'll see there I'll tap off the excess. And I'll just continue to do this with the leaves, and all of these images are from that same set. Once I sprinkle this last image with embossing powder, then I will apply heat to set. Once I've used my heat gun to heat that up, I'm going to color with distress marker. This is worn lipstick, directly on top of the embossing and on the image. And if you go out of the lines, that's no big deal, because we're going to be spritzing this with water and the color will sort of bleed and spread. So no need to do perfect coloring. And then I'll go back in on top here with Barn Door and just add some shading, a little bit darker color towards the bottom. In the end, you really see mostly this darker red, but just a touch of that pink shows, depending on how much you spritz it. Now for the leaves, I'm starting with tumbled glass. And then I will add peeled paint, leaving just the tips of those with some of that blue showing. And here I've continued to color the rest of the piece, and I've listed the exact colors used at the end of the video. Now I'm taking fired brick distress ink and just applying that directly over, very lightly over the areas that I've colored. This is Wild Honey, and then Broken China, I don't know what happened with my video here, so I apologize for the shaking. Now here's the really fun part. I'm laying this on a towel and I'm going to take a mini mister. This just has water in it. And I'm going to heavily mist this, and you'll see the color start to bleed and spread. And you can see how much I missed it there. There's quite a bit of water. So the more you mist, the more those colors will really spread. You can turn it and sort of move it around to spread the colors where you want them to go. And then I'm pretty impatient, so I went ahead and applied heat gun to this so that it would continue to dry. So I just wanted to darken this up a little bit more, so I went back with the fired brick and then also the Wild Honey. And then lightly spritzed it again so that those would continue to have that nice watercolor look. So you could let this just dry flat on its own, or you can speed it up with your heat tool. Now sometimes I find when I do apply water, do a lot of spritzing, you lose some of the vibrancy of the color that you started with originally. So I am going back here with the distress marker, just adding a little bit darker shading on the inner area of the flower closest to the center. And I continue to do that on the leaves and the other flower. Now the final touch I like to add with the watercolor effect is just color on my acrylic block with the distress marker, pick it up with the paintbrush, and then flick that onto the surface. Just gives some movement and adds to the watercolor look. And you can continue just adding more ink and more water and playing around with that until you're getting the size of droplets that you like. And once this piece was done, I stamped it with the sentiment, added it onto a stamped background, which was stamped with penny black brick wall, and added some twine and butterflies. For details and more information, visit the Penny Black website at www.pennyblackink.com. Thanks so much for watching, and here are all the supplies used.